Well, this week, if Stevie Ray Vaughan was around, he'd be playing a song called It's Snowing Down in Texas. The great snow of 2021. It's all over the place. Maybe you're not riding, but it gives a chance for reflection and thought. And on this podcast, that's what I do a lot. I want to talk about life this week. And maybe you're cool with it, maybe not. How about what happens when you have to sell your motorcycle? It's a pretty significant emotional event. But it's not a fail. There's no shame in it. And you might not even have to if you consider some other things. Do you remember when you first bought your motorcycle, how much joy and happiness you had? What if something happened? Well, that's something we call life, and it happens to us all. That's the subject for this week. Welcome to Indian Motorcycle Radio, and I'm your host, Reverend Kenn Blanchard. This is the show about Indian motorcycles and the people that ride and love them. This week, I want you to take a trip with me in a couple different stories, and maybe you can identify with some of this stuff that's going on. You know, I'm so old that I've actually dialed a rotary phone before. I've listened to a Walkman. I've stood next to a black and white television with aluminum foil on the rabbit ears. I've seen stuff. And I bet you have too. Sometimes we don't realize that we're old enough to know better, and we're actually still young enough to do it. So I'm trying to give you some encouragement this week. Sometimes some stuff happens to you and you think you're all by yourself, but you're not. Let's start off with when you first bought your motorcycle. Man, you couldn't wait to tell somebody to ride it, to clean it, to shine it, to polish it, you didn't mind paying them goo gobs of money when you first got the first checkup on it. And then time goes on and the shine kind of dulls. And you're just maintenance, you're just keeping things going. It's all good. But then something happens, something we call life. And it happens to us all. Now, you're probably not going to hear this on anybody else's podcast, but I just want to put this in your spirit so that you know that you're not a strange duck, that you're okay. That sometimes stuff happens. Stuff like marriage. Yeah. Sometimes you get married and your wife, your new girlfriend, doesn't let you ride or doesn't give you the time to ride or not interested in riding with you. Sometimes you get separated in your marriage and that really racks your brain and you don't want to ride as much as you used to or even think about selling it. Maybe a divorce actually comes, which is the death of a relationship, and that really screws you up with your head. Or everything is going great and now you got a new baby on the way, and babies come with bills, and you got a lot of money you got to put out, and you're wondering, how am I going to transport this kid to daycare? Can't put it on a sidecar. Can't put this baby seat next to me. Maybe I should sell my bike. Sometimes there's some issues with the marriage, and you're not spending enough time at home with your missus, and there's some issues that go down. There's some infidelity. There's some stuff that happens. Yeah. Maybe you just bought a brand new condo, a new townhouse, a new single family home. And now you got to put a lot of time and money into your house. Money. Financial trouble comes from all sides. And sometimes you're wondering, damn, when will it ever end? Or maybe you got a great new job. It's great in the beginning. And then slowly you realize that the people there are stressing you out. It's just a place to make money. It's not a place that you want to make a career. You're just paying the bills with this stuff. And you're wondering, how do people live like this? How do they come here early and leave late and spend their whole life in this place? That ain't me. This job sucks. Workplace stress. Or maybe you've made it through all those other events And now it's time for retirement. And you're wondering if your take-home pay will take you home, if you saved enough, if you made enough. We can pretend, but in reality, we're looking at it like, wow, I guess I can't retire to Florida Keys. Guess I can't live in the mountains. Guess I can't go to Costa Rica to live. Life events happens to us all. We think it's just us, though, that we're the only ones going through. But believe you me, I've been through just about all of these things. Yeah, I have. Here's a couple of points I want you to take away with you if you stop listening to this show and you don't go any further than this right here. That sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes you fail. But a failure is not final. And you will always be a motorcyclist, whether you have to actually get rid of your bike now or not. And sometimes we think we have to get rid of our bikes, but there are another way. Just letting you know that. I've done it all. I've done it all. I've got the married thing, had the baby thing, got the new job thing. Thought I had to sell my motorcycle because that makes me more responsible. And nobody cared about that bike. I put that there. Sometimes it is an extra expense because you'll find that out as soon as you try to buy a new motorcycle. Say it costs $10,000. If you get $5,000 for it, you're pretty fortunate when you try to sell it. It's not an investment. Truth be told, I don't care if you got platinum wheels. If you well maintain that puppy, it looks like it did off the showroom with even some better stuff, you'll still get a whole bunch of thousands less than you paid for it. That's the real truth. So, in saying that, look for other options. But there's also medical things that happen to us. Sometimes we get sick. We hurt ourselves. One thing I didn't mention, what happened if you find out that you have cancer, that you have a wreck. And you know how as soon as you ride a motorcycle, everybody tells you about everybody else who crashed on their bikes. What if you have to get rid of your bike because it's totaled and you're not going to buy another one? I'm just here to tell you that you're still a motorcyclist. You're still a biker in spirit. You still enjoy wind therapy. You're still okay. Life just happened to you. That's all. It's okay. You might have to transition from actually being a rider to somebody who is an enthusiast. We all have our turn at this thing. And it's okay. I'm trying to tell you that it's okay. Sometimes you can have lower back issues and you've been riding a Harley for years and years and that thing has just vibrated your spine loose. Maybe you got to let this thing go. Maybe. I'm a dude that's messed up a lot, truth be told. And I'm just here to remind you that failure isn't final. Everybody tries to avoid failing because they think it's bad. But you actually learn quicker from our missteps. There was a time in your life when you couldn't walk. We crawled. There was a time in your life when you couldn't crawl. And all of a sudden, you started crawling and your parents were like, "Oh, baby, he's walking." Everybody's cheering. And all of a sudden, you grabbed a hold of that coffee table and you stood up for about 2 seconds and you turned loose and you fell back down. And then you stood up again. And then you fell back down again. You stood up again. This process went on through. And then all of a sudden, one day, you could stand up. Then you took a step and you fell back down. You tried to take another step. And then all of a sudden, you started taking steps. And you went from one side of the room to the other. And your parents were hollering and screaming and clapping. And it was a good day. You could tell by the expressions on your parents' faces that they were pleased. They were excited. And you were excited too because now you can motivate them a lot faster. Well, that sequence of events is how our brains learn from falling. And it's interesting to know that falling and failure both begin with the same letter. Now, if you got mad when you fell, then you probably wouldn't have tried to stand up anymore. But if you looked at the fall, at the sequence, as just something that is, it is what it is, and becomes what you make it. If you look at it as an opportunity to learn, which you did as a baby, everybody does, you get right back up regardless of failing, and you try again, and you just keep doing it again. And all of a sudden, you begin to walk, where our life is just like that. But you can't get mad at your fails. The world will get mad at you anyway. Sometimes we make stuff up that doesn't even exist. Nobody cares that you fail, that you failed. They might make a comment about it, but they move on. They care about themselves. We put that stuff on ourselves. You see, our brain doesn't learn from success. Failure is the first step in the learning process. I failed a lot. I failed in relationships. I failed financially. I failed spiritually. I failed physically. I count myself as an old dude right now. I'm knocking on 60. And I've lived. I burned the candle at both ends, in the middle, around the back. And I'm still here. The smart people learn from the mistakes of others. I used to carry a journal and write down things I learned about people. Really, because I was so introverted that I just watched a lot of people. I remember in boot camp, was in the Marine Corps, parasailing, 1980, and I'm sitting there watching drill instructors abuse people. They were humiliating people. They were breaking them down. And I wanted to know how the drill instructors assessed each person. I wanted to figure out, how did they figure out what was the weak point? And then how are they going to break that person down? And then after they broke them down into their base unit, how are they going to motivate and inspire that person to be lifted back up? I thought that was just exciting and interesting. I didn't know that was a career field. That's called psychology to some level. And it was only close to graduation that my little diary book had been discovered, and they took it from me. But the curiosity never ended. When I wanted to be the greatest lover of all time, I studied those who were great pickup artists and learned from a couple of folks that were in the bars that were like unbelievable. If their lips were moving, they were lying, but they could manipulate and win from their conversations. I learned from that too. I learned that we're all the same, just look different. We all want the same things, pretty much. We don't know it, though. We think we're just us. If we could manage to talk to each other without all the other stuff and the isms and the crap that we put in front of us, the mask, it'd be pretty nice. All great performers have two things in common: the uncanny emotional control and a greater tolerance for failure and setback than everybody else, because they realize that even if they won an event, they know that there are several things that they could have done better. They sometimes have a very hard time savoring victory because they know within their hearts they could have done better. And that's why there are so few really great performers. Most people just want to get by. Most people are trying not to fail. Therefore, they never learn and they never get better. I always wanted to get better. And because of that, I've had a pretty unreal life compared to some people. I remember when I first started on this journey and I was excited to share everything that I was learning. My relatives and family thought I was bragging, and they didn't want to hear that. They thought I was putting them down for not doing anything, but I was excited about life. I was excited about the things that I had done and got away with it. I was excited about the things that I had accomplished and was still standing. But, you got to be careful. Sometimes when you share, folks are not ready for it. It's safe for a boat to stay at the harbor, but that's not what it's made for. Some people like to stay where they're at. And like that boat, it will rot sometimes if it sits still. We become more afraid to fail than to succeed because we forget that the first step in learning anything is failure. You got to accept it. You got to forgive yourself for failing. You have to look for what you can learn from it. Pick up the pieces and go on. Learn from it and move on. Now, life events. There's stuff that happens, right? Let's go way back. Let's go back to school. School is a big event. You attended school for the first time. That's a big event. You made friends or became a best friend to somebody at school. You attended your favorite or least favorite class. You got involved in a group or sport at school, after school. You graduated from high school. You graduated from college or a university. You took an important test. They're all big events. There's all a story from that. The same with your motorcycle riding. The same with your education as a rider. Nobody can take that from you. And if you have to part with your bike temporarily, get another one later. Yeah, you lost money. It wasn't a wise investment. But again, motorcycles are not investments. You buy because you like it. You buy because we like it. We buy because we like it. We buy because we like it. Sometimes life happens, You have a big fight with a loved one or a family member. You fell in love for the first time. You met and fell in love with your future spouse. You get engaged. You got married. You have a house built. You build a home life. You have a baby. You witness the birth of your child or you adopted a child. You have added a pet to the family. You got divorced. You lost a loved one. It's a cycle of life. It all happens to us. And in there is our riding, is our motorcycle world. And I'm just here to tell you that sometimes it gets twisted. And right now, if you're going through a tough time, if you're coming through a healing process, you're getting over debt, you're getting over or going through. See, Grandma said that we're all in three places. We're either in trouble right now, we're either headed for trouble right now, or we're just coming out of trouble right now. So in Grandma's frame of mind, that sounds kind of bleak, but it's okay. It's a part of life. So if you're riding into a storm right now, just know that storm won't last forever. Your job, if you choose to accept it, is to ride it out. You ever got caught in a rainstorm on your bike? Of course you did. Were you ready for it this time? Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. Doesn't feel too good, but you don't quit riding. No, you just realize it's a part of the experience. It's a part of what happens if you're a motorcyclist. It happens to you. Sometimes you get caught unawares. Do you quit now? No. Roll on, dry off. Hopefully you don't get hypothermia from it. Hopefully you have extra clothes or you can go somewhere and change, or you dry off. It's the right time of year and you're in the right place and nothing adverse happens to you. But it becomes a part of your experience. That's everything. Everything I mentioned before. All those significant life events, they all happen to all of us. And I'm just here to remind you that sometimes you just got to roll with it. I remember before I got married, I had two motorcycles. I had a Yamaha and a Suzuki. I had a Yamaha 850 and I had a Suzuki Cavalcade, big old touring bike that Suzuki had back in the early 90s. And I thought, all right, I'm going to be a responsible dad. I'm going to get rid of my Corvette. I'm going to get rid of these two bikes. And it's all going to be good. And then I didn't have anything. All my toys were gone. And there was a little issue in my head, like, man, I could have still kept this stuff. But I didn't know, and nobody was there to tell me. Seems like nobody shares the good stuff. All the elders, they kind of keep it to themselves, or they don't value the knowledge to pass it on to you. I'm here to tell you that sometimes the options that we pick haven't been thought out enough. There's some more stuff that you need to think out. And then say you do have to get rid of your motorcycle. Say you have to sell it because of health reasons, because of the divorce, because of some other event. It's still okay. It's a temporary setback, yeah. It might be a financial fail because you, again, not going to recomp the money that you lost. But this storm won't last forever. That you'll be able later to get you another bike like I did. I was in a new job, had just moved into a new home, my family. Hadn't had a bike in about 5 years. Still consider myself a motorcyclist, though. I had bought me a nice leather jacket. I was waiting for the day. And I'm sitting in there at the new job, and this guy was about to go to Afghanistan. And he had a night train Harley, tricked out, man. He had like the purple lights on it, all black. And he said, I'm getting ready to take this thing to the dealer on consignment. And I said, man, sell it to me. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. I went to the credit union that day, gave him a check, and rode that puppy home. Yeah. Didn't see that coming. Didn't plan on it, but it all worked in my favor. And then later, I put the bike on consignment. And then from another dealership, I purchased a custom painted Electric Glide Standard, which I loved. For a long time, I used to like not worship the thing, but I oohed and ahed it more than I rode it, truth be told, because I had a Harley. I had the bike. And hey, life happened to me again in a different way, and I hardly ever rode it. Then I felt real guilty because I'd meet real bikers and they would say, yeah, man, I put 20,000 miles on my bike this year. I'm thinking, man, I barely put 1,000 on this thing. Maybe I'm not a real biker. I suck. But I didn't have my future Kenn to tell me, hey, man, sometimes stuff happens. There's no shame in it. Learn from it. And then I stumbled onto Indian motorcycles and thought, man, look at these bikes. Unbelievable. Look at the quality of them. Look how they ride. Look how they look. Look how they're different from everybody else's bike. Oh, yeah. I'm getting one of these bad boys. And that's probably how you think, too. So I thought, all right, I'll just sell this Electric Glide Standard, which doesn't have any extras on it, pretty much. And I put it down nice and low priced, put it in the right place this time, marketplace, and 24 hours later, somebody was driving up to my driveway with their trailer, hauling this thing away, and a small tear came down my eye. Because now I was going to get closer to this new Indian bike, but I actually had lost something. I had lost an old friend. So now I created this podcast. I don't even have a motorcycle right now. Can you believe it? But if you've been listening to me since I started, you know I've been oohing and ahhing over the Roadmasters. And I've seen some beautiful ones around the country, even around the world through this. Yeah. Last June, I took my bride to a motorcycle shop, and we saw this burgundy one with the tan seats. I thought, this is it right here. Don't you like this color? She was like, yep, I love it. And then the owner of the shop came by. He goes, hey, man, don't you do a podcast? I thought, yeah, buddy, this is my in right here. And he says, yeah, I'll drop off $200 for you. And I thought, ooh, big spender. And I even liked the guy. And I thought, okay, let me have this purchase order, and I'll just take it home and plaster it on my wall. And then maybe something will happen. You know, karma, good luck, wishbone stuff, wishbone theory. I don't know. Money from heaven. Didn't happen, but you know what did happen? I got a chance to create this podcast, connect and talk to like-minded people, and it almost felt as good as writing. Yeah, it did. So I have these decals, which I just remembered I have to send one out to Canada. Indian Motorcycle Radio decal that I had made up. I got 2 different kinds that I will send to you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to this podcast, just to being a friend of mine. And my friends, man, the folks who are actually supporting this show, which are encouraging me. They're buying me a coffee, which you buy like 2 or 3 coffees, 4 coffees, it might be like $20. They're keeping the show on the system. They're keeping me motivated, because I thought, and it happens to me too, because I'm sitting here going, all right, it's snowing. I don't have a bike. Doesn't seem like I'm going to get one anytime soon. What's the use? There's another guy over there with a really, really great show. He's killing it. Got all the advertisers and stuff. I'm just me. Just a dude trying to be a dude, playing a dude. But thank God, every once in a while I remember who the hell I am. And I remember that comparison is the thief of joy. Stop coveting. Stop comparing yourself. Stop thinking that you failed. And I thought, let me just share this little piece for the future, Kenn, to listen to my own podcast sometimes. It's a good therapy. Remember all the stuff that I've been through, all the stuff that I've overcome. Realize that sometimes you got to go back to go forward. It's okay. Indian Motorcycle had an ambassador program. So I put in for that thing because one of the pieces on it says discount on new motorcycles. So I thought, hey, maybe they'll give me more than $200 off if I become an ambassador for Indian, for the brand, But no, didn't win that either. And it's okay. We're going to keep pushing. The summer is coming. Spring will be here. The groundhog will be defeated. The snow will stop. No storm lasts forever. I saw a super, super beautiful cobalt blue elite motorcycle down at Charlotte Indian dealer. You ever see their ads on Facebook? They got like a baby supermodel down there. Yeah. She hit me back on messaging and man, almost took me over. But I ain't had no money. I'd have ran down the street if I could. But I thought, if it's for me, it's for me. And then I looked back at my local dealer and that Burgundy Roadmaster from 2020. He dropped it like $3,000 now. So it's on sale. Woo! Yeah. No storm lasts forever, y'all. If you get caught up in something, some life event, something's going on right now with you, and you got to sell your bike, it's okay. I'm just here to tell you, it's okay. Separation, divorce, birth, marriage, new homes, money trouble, new jobs, workplace stress, and retirement, if you last long enough, happen to us all. And I didn't even put in there health issues. That can be another thing that can happen. And death. Yeah, death can change some things too. And as I close for this week, I just want to give you a couple of boxing quotes to kind of fit this thing. Everybody has a plan until you get hit in the face. And words from the great Rocky Balboa. He said, "Let me tell you something you probably already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done." Well, that's it for this week. I want to thank you for rolling with a brother one more time. I'm hoping I made something that made sense to you and that you got something out of just a little bit of a wisdom. The biggest thing here is that we all, if we get a chance to, are living. We make mistakes. We fall. We fail. There's some significant emotional events that happen. And it's not really what happens to you. It's how you handle what happens to you. And that if you're a motorcyclist, if you're a biker, if you're an enthusiast, that you will always be one. And sometimes you just need another brother, another friend, another rider to okay you, to validate you, to let you know that, get back up on the bike and ride. Or maybe you can't ride anymore, but you're still one of us. That's what I'm here for you to do. That's what I'm trying to say with all my mumbles and stumbles. If you want to continue to hear from your friend and your brother from another mother, feel free to hit me up at buymeacoffee.com/motorcycle or buymeacoffee/Kenn Blanchard with 2 N's. Either one goes to me. And the encouragement can be as easy as an email to kennblanchard@gmail.com. That's KENN.Blanchard@gmail.com to say, hey man, thank you. That works too. Don't have to be money. One day we will ride together. One day I will buy you a coffee. Deal? deal. And just in case nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. All right, my friends, that's it for this week. I want to thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to your favorite righteous podcast, Indian Motorcycle Radio. Now may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon you. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Kickstands up. Let's ride.